Okay, Rick?
But maybe it'd be helpful if you could explain what benefit the change would, what benefit would accrue from the change in terms of either speeding the process or, making the project go smoother.
I just might note, and it also
before we have Neil address this, do you want to hear the other questions? Or Bob, I know you're anxious to talk. Do you want to wait and follow Neil's discussion?
Oh, I'll wait.
All right. And Tiffany?
I just want to make sure that we're all have the concern about the same thing. We're talking about this delegated authority report. So right now it's 250.
Right.
And anything, that goes over that, so the amount at the top would be 500 now, and anything below that would still be shown on this sheet that we can have a discussion about.
Everything would be shown on the sheet.
Okay.
Everything would be shown. It just is that there are two types of contracting that's there. Can you walk through the 550,000?
Sure. Before Neil, I guess I was Board Member Schweitzer brought it up. I was looking at something on the delegated authority, and you have the authority for $250,000, but yet you report to us on something that's $126,000 to show transparency. Am I correct?
The delegated authority report is supposed to say, yeah, everything we do under your authority to delegate, we list down to $1,000.
Right. And so, I mean, I was here when it used to be, I think it was 75,000, 100,000, and then we moved it to 250. Yeah, so I can understand it because we still get the paperwork. We continue to get all the information. We have to read it.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Very well said.
All right, Mr. McFarland.
Mr. Board President, just attempt to answer a few of the questions. The first question is one Board Member Lairback asked about the timing. And frankly, before we started the Green Line and West project was when, as Board Member Williams noted, we did bring an update of the previous contracting resolution. And the reason for that is that we then need to align all of our policies and procedures and written documents that support the project management with the Federal Transit Administration. We need to align that to the board policy and then document our policies and procedures, if you will, to the Federal Transit Administration. So we're at that point in time now with the Milwaukee project ahead of us. And what we need to do is to update those thresholds based primarily on inflation, but also some consideration that this is also a very large project. There will be a large volume of contracting work associated with it. So that may answer, hopefully, the timing question. We do this periodically, and we do use the opportunity of the initiation of a major capital project to make that adjustment, if you will, at those particular points in time, and then have a series of stable period, if you will, over the next few years. Second of all, recall that there are different thresholds for different types of contracts. I won't go through them all, but again, 500,000 is that which is probably the most straightforward in terms of contracting work, and for professional services and other issues or other contracts that deal with perhaps more judgment in terms of who is the best provider of that service will actually come back to the board at a lower threshold than 500,000. So again, I won't go through all of the details, but for example, goods and services and bids, where it is purely price, we meet our price and our specifications, and then that is the highest level. And also, just to reiterate what the general manager noted with all the change order issues, it is an important element of our business, and I think an important piece of our success is that we've been able to negotiate with contractors in real time and be able to get them payment for changes when they are deserved. And we're pretty hard knuckle about that, but when they are deserved, we do try to get the payment and the change orders approved in a very timely way. That has given us, I think, First of all, we now finished these projects, again, another one here, with no construction claims, no lawsuits from our general contractors. And everybody feels as if they're being treated fairly, including, I think, the public. So that is not the case in many other public agencies that do this kind of work. And so I think what we have done is sort of advance our contracting point where we try to be very timely in our adjudication of issues that may come up during the construction period. And frankly, those do come up. And that is the reality of construction in a real world, in through the kinds of environments, city streets, and public highways, and other rights-of-way that we work in. I think that answered most of the questions. If I've not done so, please nudge me.
Yes, I would say from my time on this board, the staff has been very forthcoming with any information regarding finances. And I have no problem simply because I know it's part, it does change one facet. It raises the threshold to where you can make a decision as staff on who is best to service this agency for something $500,000 or less versus going through, as they say, a bidding process. I understand that, but I have utmost faith that you'll do the right thing.
We would not be able to move around the bidding process. That one you actually do decide. What it would say is that within the bid, once it's been, you've authorized it, that the change order, we could exceed the $500,000 amount, which is right there now, by either the decision that I would make, that Neil would make, or that Brian would make, and no one else. All the other levels are ones that are been consistent with what we have always had in the past. That, and I want to make sure I'm saying this, Neil, I'm looking at a red line version, and Brian's not here to ask, but the only change is the one that we've been talking about in terms of the additional change order.
That's right, other than moving the threshold.
So it's just a change order?
Yeah.
Okay.
From 250 to 500.
Okay.
All right, I have a motion and a second, and no further discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
No. Resolution is approved.
Again, let me just stress that if you're wanting to be able to look at where you might have particular areas of interest, the time that probably makes the most sense is when we do a contract and you're authorized, there will be a specific element in there around your change order. How much is that allocated? If any of you find yourselves, when you look at that, saying, well, I really want to hear, more timely about what change orders are, or, why don't we, make sure you report about blank, that would be the place to do it. This is just a general. This does not deal with the specific actions that you will take. And my guess is that there might be some areas that you'll say, oh, that's pretty straightforward, don't worry about it. Maybe other places you'll want. So that'll come, it'll be coming over the next year, over 2 years